Well, Bill and Sade, accepting a plea agreement would mean that Sean Combs would have to admit to trafficking and force. And today he made it very clear that was not going to happen. Diddy maintained all along these encounters involved consenting adults and plans to take his chances that a jury agrees.
Well, it's not up to me. It's up to Mr. Combs, and I don't see it happening.
Why?
Because he believes he's innocent. He believes he's innocent. And what's more, he believes that he needs to stand up, not just for himself, for his family, and for everybody who's been targeted by the federal government.
Every company Diddy has ever collaborated with has fired him, and the FBI has confiscated his homes and private aircraft. Since his revenue has suddenly fallen to zero, Diddy is in a panic. In addition, Diddy's attorneys recently submitted their 5th bail application. Will Diddy be able to leave prison before he loses everything? Is Diddy's career coming to an end?
Nah, Diddy's in a tricky situation.
Boy, that's the understatement of the year.
Yeah, I think it's over.
You think it's over?
I think it's over for him as like a figure in entertainment.
Right. But do you think it's over as him as far as
jail?
like he gets a cell right next to R. Kelly?
I don't think so. I don't think
Really?
he gets locked
I think he
up.
skates.
I think he skates. Or he goes to like Bali.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a move, huh?
I want to declare right here over these digital airwaves of YouTube that the career of Sean P. Diddy Combs, as we know it, it's over. This is over. It's over in the worst possible way, one of the worst possible ways you can imagine.
I literally took one sip of my beverage and the whole side of my face felt like I had a stroke.
Isn't that, to my mind, that's one of the bigger hurdles in selecting a jury this coming week, is that there is, at least anecdotally, when I talk to people, they have that opinion, strongly held opinion, that there's celebrity tapes, that they've kind of conflated Epstein, and you mentioned Ghislaine Maxwell and all of these things into Diddy. There's this idea that somehow this is Epstein redux or something.
Diddy was the 2nd richest person in hip-hop prior to the start of this trial. He owned over a dozen brands, had a net worth of over $1 billion, and frequently met with other billionaires like Mark Cuban and Jay-Z. Just weeks prior to his trial, Diddy was even given the city's key by Eric Adams, the mayor of New York.
It's 2020, y'all. Yeah. And it's different than when it was 2016. You know, the game has been elevated. As we can tell, there's no expense being spared. We had a black billionaire's lunch.
He already has the keys to some pretty exclusive places, and now Sean Diddy Combs can add New York City to that list. It's Diddy Day in the city. Videos have been playing on the Jumbotron for TSX Broadway, and the crowd waited. Then around 11:30, the doors opened for the mayor and the artist.
The bad boy of entertainment is getting the key to the city from the bad boy of politics.
I want to thank y'all for this honor and just recognizing me being from New York, giving me the key to the city. Diddy finally has the key to the city.
Today's event coincides with the release of his new album, The Love Album, Off the Grid.
What made you come here to support Puff?
I'm supporting Puff because he's innocent, and I'm wholeheartedly believing his innocence, and I know he's innocent. So,
Well, you think you know he's innocent?
1,000%.
Mr. Combs feels A, he's innocent, which is why he's not going to plead guilty. B, he's going to be truthful about this case because he wants to portray that to the people who have loved him his whole life. And I think he also feels an obligation to people in general. Maybe it's black people, maybe it's white people, maybe it's anybody who's ever felt aggrieved and targeted by the government. He feels an obligation to those people to say, you know what, maybe I can break the model. Maybe I can show the world that a black man can win, in federal court. And I think he probably is the only person I know of who might be able to actually accomplish that.
And when the judge did, Diddy, who was sitting at the defense table with his attorneys, did not show any signs of emotion. He took a sip of water before he was led out of the courtroom by the U.S. Marshals. Now, his lawyers have vowed to fight this. They are going to be back in court on Wednesday before the judge who will oversee this trial and try to get Diddy to be released.
He is not charged with being mean. He is not charged with being a jerk. He's charged with running a racketeering enterprise. And though there was violence that you were going to hear about, you already have, that violence is not part of any RICO. That violence is not connected to trafficking, and that violence is not prosecution. There was a name in criminal law for the violence we will hear about and we will see at this trial. It is called domestic violence. It is called domestic violence is a very serious matter. I want to say that now. It is a bad, illegal problem, and it is something that the law addresses. We take full responsibility that there was domestic violence in this case. Domestic violence is not trafficking. I want to say it again. Domestic violence is not trafficking. Had he been charged with domestic violence, had he been charged with assault, we would not be here right now. We would not be sitting through an 8-week trial. However, he has been charged with different crimes. Trafficking, racketeering. These are federal crimes with their different statutes. They charge different elements, and he simply is not guilty of those crimes.
During this trial, you're going to hear about 20 years of the defendant's crimes. But he didn't do it alone. He had an inner circle of bodyguards and high-ranking employees who helped him commit crimes and helped him cover them up. Kidnapping, arson, drugs, crimes, bribery, and obstruction. These are just some of the crimes that the defendant and his inner circle committed again and again. You are going to hear about all of them during this trial. Let's start now with just one night. The defendant was on the hunt for his girlfriend, a woman named Cassie. For years, the defendant physically abused Cassie. He also exploited her, forcing her to have male escorts while he watched and recorded it. But that night, the defendant learned he had lost control of Cassie. He found out Cassie was seeing another man. Furious, he set out to find Cassie and that other man, but he couldn't do it by himself. So he took his gun and he took his bodyguard, one of his most loyal lieutenants, to wake up one of the defendant's employees in the middle of the night. The defendant yelled that he was going to kill the man Cassie was with. He demanded that his employee take him to that man's home. The defendant forced the employee out of her apartment and into an SUV. They drove to the house. The defendant and his bodyguard broke in, but no one was there. The defendant did give up. He kept looking for Cassie. When he finally found her, he did what he had done countless times before. He beat her brutally, kicking her in the back and flinging her around like a rag doll. All of that violence wasn't enough, though. The defendant had to make sure he had control over Cassie once again, so he threatened her. The defendant told Cassie that if she defied him again, he would publicly release the videos of her having sex with male escorts that he kept as blackmail. Souvenirs of the most humiliating nights of her life. This was just one night in the defendant's 2 decades of crime. In one night, he and his lieutenant kidnapped an employee, broke into a man's house, and the defendant beat and blackmailed his girlfriend.